late show, and the late show I am doing tonight, and I'm doing it a little bit early as well. So I'm on time, I'm early as well, and I promised you a late show, so here I am doing a late show today. So look, guys, get into this community. I always start the show by saying get into this community. It's an amazing community, the best on this platform, 100%. We're not the smallest, we're not the biggest, but we are certainly the best. Get in here. The only thing I will always say this is be respectful to me. More importantly, be respectful to the community, be respectful to the mods, and be respectful to yourselves. Otherwise, the ban hammer comes down. Look, we don't mind banter. We absolutely have no problem with banter at all from fans. We do get some amazing fans on here. You don't have to be a United fan to come on here. I will engage with you. Doesn't mean I'm going to necessarily talk about your team, but tonight is a different sort of show. Tonight is that show where pretty much anything goes. I do have some stuff to say. I think it's important to go through some of this stuff today. Aaron says hello. Hello, Aaron. I hope you're doing extremely well. I hope you're having a good evening, and I hope you're having a good Christmas time as well. Like, you may think Christmas is over, my friend. I don't know, but Christmas for me is still about the week, right? So look, second of all, I've got to say this, I'm not a dictator of this chat. I really do read out your chats. This channel, I pride myself on reading out the chat. This is why these shows take so long, is because, look, I do respect your opinions. I think it's really important for you guys to get in your opinions. And I engage with the opinions. Doesn't necessarily mean that we have to agree. And if I do comment on your opinions, not because I'm disrespecting the opinion, and of course, unless you disrespect me, it's purely because I respect the community. I respect to give you guys a voice. It's important to give you guys a voice, and we can have that conversation. So look, tonight is that show where I start off with something, we talk about it, but it's a pretty much open show tonight. You can lead me down a garden path. I really want to know about your opinions. Now look, I'm gonna soften my stance tonight. Joanka says hello. What was your result on the weekend, says Aaron? 1-0. So we won 1-0 against the Geordies. Aaron, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. And look, we went through that this afternoon. I had my say on it this afternoon. But look, we won a game, on to the next one. And look, I don't think it's necessarily going to be pretty. It's not going to be good, but we've got to do something. We've got to make it work. So let's see what happens. So look, tonight I wanted to go over Xerxy, which I think is an interesting one, and I'll give you my opinion on that. Look, opinions can change from game to game, week to week. I try and be as consistent as I possibly can, and if I do change my mind, I don't just change my mind on a whim. I don't change my mind from game to game, from afternoon to morning. Unlike some other channels, I don't do clickbait on here either. So I will give you my opinion, and I think I've softened my opinion slightly on certain things, and we will go through that. We'll also go through Erikson. So what Erikson has been saying on United. Christian has been talking today about, or he's been talking in the last few days, and I've got plenty to say on that as well. Basically slamming Amorin, which I'm not happy about. There are some things which, we can talk about that as well. But look, but get in your opinions. I want to know about your opinions on the club. Do you think we're going to sign anybody? And basically tonight is an open forum. Paul says Florian Wirtz is going to be top draw. Look, Paul, one of the things on this channel that I pride myself on is I'm honest, right? And I will openly have a conversation. Now, Liverpool fans, look, if you've listened to this channel before, I've got the utmost respect, right? And the reason why you get my respect is because we are different clubs, right? I don't necessarily big you guys up, but it's always come from a place of respect. I know I respect what you guys were and are. I've been saying since the start of the season, even when Liverpool were in a bad place, even when Liverpool fans or your channels were crying, saying that, you know, Slot needs to be sacked, sack Slot, you know, this team is awful. I was of the opinion that, look, stick with the team. You've got too many good players not to become good. Give them time. It takes time. I'm just going to adjust the light. It takes time. It takes time for a team to gel. Florian Wirtz was going to take time. Florian Wirtz is one of these players that's going to need time. I've had no doubts that once Liverpool find their stride, it's probably too late to win the league. Stranger things have happened, but Liverpool will get there. Give Wirtz time, and he could be a quality player. So look, you know, this is the problem, Paul, with today's fans, is they want instant players to be good. Give your players time. Give your team time. And look, Wirtz, the jury is out on Wirtz. But look, give him time. Give him time, and who knows? I think Wirtz has got the world at his feet. I think Wirtz can be anything that he wants to be. Chip Pimp says you will get Conference League if you are lucky. Look, I've predicted between 8th and 10th, so I've basically put us out of that. You know, unless I will be consistent. I'm always consistent. At the moment, I think we'll finish between 8th and 10th. If we sign players, which I will come on to as well, I'm still in the camp that we won't do. But I've predicted between 8th and 10th. Let's hope. Well, from my view anyway, right now, from where we were to where I want us to be, if we get conference football, look, as pathetic as that is, and I detest the fact that would take that. That is a signal to where we are right now. Mitch, you're gone. You're gone, Mitch. Look, Mitch, it's really easy, mate. Really easy, Mitch. Really, really easy. Emma says, bro, Galatasaray, Man United 3-2. Galatasaray, mate. Look, when United were in the Champions League, look, Galatasaray are one of those, you know, really fantastic historic teams. Like, I remember playing Galatasaray when Ryan Giggs was a kid, when he was about like 18, and I remember us going to your ground and absolutely getting battered. I remember the cauldron that was the Galatasaray, like, it was just unbelievable. So look, respect. I've got utter respect. So Mama Dad says hi, hello. I hope you're doing extremely well. So one of the first things I wanted to say, look, I always have to say this. One of the things that I will always be upfront, right? I will always be honest. I remember the things I say, and if I get things wrong, I will apologise, right? I don't need to be prompted to apologise the moment I think I'm wrong. The moment I know that I'm wrong, I will apologise. So Jack says, I'm still savouring the ban that was dished out. Yeah, that was a Jesus Christ, that was ridiculous. But look, there's something I do have to say. Are you gutted about Semenyo to City, says Aaron. Look, no, and I shall tell you for why, Aaron. And look, guys, get in your comments tonight. We can lead this show anywhere that you like. The reason why I am not, Aaron, is because if you've watched this channel before, look at the thumbnails, look at the things that I've said. I have not once believed that we were going to get him. Dino is in the house. Dino, the cucumber legend. That is Dino. Dino, the legend. That is, the things that he can do with a vegetable is unbelievable. Give Dino some love. I've been consistent on this. I've not thought Semenyo was coming to this club. There are two things in this. One, I don't want Semenyo in terms of if there's an opportunity to get Semenyo, look, you've got to be in there. Brown Knight, legend. I hope you're doing extremely well, my friend. If there's an opportunity to get one of the better players in the league, you've got to be in there, right? I never thought so. If I was a Liverpool fan, I would be, because I assumed that he was going to go there. I never once thought that he was coming to us. So look, and I was consistent on that, so I'm not bothered at all. Muhi says, I'm a United fan from Ethiopia. I love this club, starting from David Moyes. I have no history of trophies of the Premier League with my club. Look, I feel, look, that is sad for me to hear. Muhi, I'm very lucky. I've been supporting this club since 1988, and I've seen the whole of the era. So look, I'm gutted. I'm gutted that you've never seen us win a trophy. I've been very, very fortunate to live that era, and maybe we're never going to have that era again. But I really, really hope for you that we can win a league, because I promise you, there's nothing like seeing this club lifting a Premier League trophy. And what I do hope, and what I've learned, is that we now need to savour these leagues. We now need to savour these cups, because they don't come round that often. They're not going to come round again. And when they do, it may be years and years between them. So it saddens me to hear that. But, fingers crossed. Where's Scott? I don't know. So Jack says, I'll tell you something, JB. I don't know how you've got so many African Galatasaray supporters. Look, mate, it's just a popular channel. Now, I'm clearly popular with those areas, right? Do you think Xerxy is a good player? So I can't. We will do. Brown Knight says different stream, same shit. So different stream, same shirt. It is, but I've turned it inside and out. I basically don't necessarily gonna change shirts, right? I've not been in this shirt all day. I do pretty much just put on the shirts for the shows. And it just so happens that this shirt is still relatively clean, so I apologise for not amending the shirts. Do I think Xerxy is a good player? It's difficult. It's difficult to tell. Look, Xerxy for me was a punt, probably the right signing. I don't think he's a bad player. Look, there's some players that come to the Premier League, some players that come to us. You look at the players that we've burnt. So Xerxy, it's difficult to gauge. It's difficult to gauge. He's come to this club. It's difficult to gauge whether or not Xerxy is a good player because of who we are. So I think Xerxy has the potential to be a good player. I don't think we've used him right. I don't think we've given him a fair crack of the whip. And now I believe he's going to go. Central midfielder says Liam must take priority in Jan. Take Gallagher on loan until the summer. Liam, I am with you. I think we need to sign him. I've always maintained this Gallagher or zero. I'll give you a slightly different opinion, because I now starting to have this different viewpoint on it. The Belabor stuff, I'm still adamant that that's not going to happen. That is not going, and I will give you the reasons as to why I don't believe that will happen. But look, I do think now there is a potential for us to sign players, but we will talk about that as well. Thomas says, I've voted yes. We'll sign players in January, as I was hoping for. Belabor from Brighton. Yilmaz from Galatasaray, Mateta from Palace, Gallagher from Atletico, Gordon from Newcastle, in my opinion. Thomas, mate, legend of the channel. Mate, if we did all that, I would do a show in a mankini, right? All that is not going to happen. The Baleba is an interesting one. Now look, remind me when I go through this to talk about that at the end. It's not going to happen. And I'll tell you for why it's not going to happen. Look, Fabrizio has come out today, and I will make a note of that as well. Talk about Baleba at the end and what Fabrizio said. Look, I did do a show this morning on that, but look, I will come on to that as well, and we can talk through that. Brownat says, Brownat's done that. Ivan Toney, is that a good shout for a possible? I don't think Tony's coming. I really don't. Ivan Toney, I just don't think he's going to come, mate. There's been rumour that has died down. Would I take him? Yes, but I think he's going to be an expensive option, and I don't think that is what we are going to do. Do you watch Forest v City yesterday? If so, how the hell was that not a second yellow for Diaz? It's because it's City. Basically because it's City and the Premier League are absolutely scared of him. The shirt comment was meant as a compliment and to brag about how cool the shirt is. Look, mate, look. It's not, mate. This shirt, Browner, I never think that you would disrespect me, my friend. Legend, as always. He says, I love United because of Januzaj. At the first, I saw him and I love him as well as United. Januzaj, mate, that's going back a long, long way. You know, Januzaj again is one of those players that burst onto the scene and kind of never went on to be the player that people said he was. You know, but look, any reason to love the club is fantastic. Did United sell that guy to Napoli? His name starts with H. I won't embarrass myself. Højlund. Højlund hasn't been sold. He's on loan, but there's an option to buy. So I think Højlund will probably go. Let's hope so. Browner says, please don't. But Browner, you are a legend. You will not get banned, my friend. Absolutely not. You are a legend of the channel. Joshua says, because Xerxy is apparently going to Roma, I don't know who would be a good bench striker. And you're making a very, very good point. And that's why, look, if I've been saying this, I believe we will not do business. The only business that I believe that we would do or will do is a loan move for a Gallagher or nothing at all. My caveat to that was, as long as we sell a player, then we could do some business. I also made a video about 2 months ago, basically asking the question, where has the money gone? Right? We sold these players, the wages that we saved, where has the money gone? Now, apparently, there is some money to go. And look, we will talk about that as well. Let me get through his chats. Dinner says, JB Inamankini. Mate, it would be a sight of amazingness. Jay, so Jaden's in the house, says, hi bro, Jaden, I hope you're doing extremely well. So look, I wanted to start off and say this, is that look, when I say things and I make a mistake, maybe not a mistake, but when I say something and I end up being wrong, I'm always the first to apologise, because that is the standard that I set. Now, if you've been watching the show since I began in July-ish time, when we were talking about players to sign, I gave a certain player a load of grief. So Calvert-Lewin, I basically gave him a bunch of abuse. I basically said that I didn't want to sign him. There were videos out there saying, please no, I don't want to sign this player. You know, he's only scored 2 goals in three years. He's injured. I don't want to sign him. You know, if he comes, it'll be the worst thing in the world. Absolutely just didn't want to sign this player. Probably criticised him a lot. I've got to apologise, because look, at the moment, this guy has scored in 6 goals consecutively. He's got 8 goals for the season. Now look, Calvert-Lewin could fall off the edge of a cliff now. But right here and now today, I've got to apologise. I remember the things that I say. I remember the criticism that I give out at times. But it's important for me to look back and go, sometimes you can be wrong. That is the beauty of life. I'm not saying that I'd still want to sign the player. I'm not saying that I was wrong in terms of the player coming to us and he would probably be awful. But I have to give him credit. I have to apologise to Calvert-Lewin because he's achieved a feat that not even Kane has done. So look, I am really pleased for him because it is so. I think it's a wonderful thing when players, particularly players who've been injured for such a long time, leave a club, go somewhere else completely, gets criticised completely, and then goes away and goes and does things. So look, as much as I still don't think Lewin is the answer. I still don't think that he's one of the best players. But look, I criticised him, and I have to apologise because what he's gone on to do this season so far, 6 in 6, 8 goals this season. So look, he may fall off the edge of a cliff, but right here and now, after what he's done so far, I have to apologise because that is the correct thing to do. And I always, whatever I do, I absolutely have to apologise when I get things wrong. So look, big up to Calvert-Lewin. I still wouldn't want him anywhere near this club. But look, I think it's a wonderful story when players, I think, are done and dusted, and you know they are. But look, Grace, I have to apologise. You know, when I give somebody stick, because if somebody gave me stick, and I turned around and went against them, then look, I've got to apologise. He may fall off the cliff completely, but something that I absolutely need to do. Let's get through this chat, and then we'll go on this. Jane says, "Sorry to the look, Jaden. It doesn't matter, mate. It doesn't matter. It's just banter, Jaden. It's just banter, my friend. You know, this community is all about the banter. Jaden, is absolutely no issue at all." Jackie says, "If anyone has run a business or been self-employed, when you make money and invest it, theoretically it makes it better. Not take all the money and make it worse." Exactly, my friend. Look, this country is littered full of people who come into a club and asset strip it. You look at what what's his name did. Can't remember his first name, but Thingy Green, and the guy that bought British Home Stores, and absolutely he bought it for £1. Asset stripped it completely. That's what people do. Grace said, "What did Erikson say?" I will come on to that as well. Are they making things better or just using the name for money? I thought the same earlier today for DLC. Also thought that. Big up JB. Big up to Danny. Danny is in the house. Grace says, "Don't apologise. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's pony." I'd like to apologies to absolutely no one, says Dino. Sorry, typing a bit fast. Matthew, no problem at all. Sully says, "I feel unless a first choice target is available in Jan, then they won't move." The only thing, Sully, I need to say on that, and look, this is your show tonight. I'm not really going to try to sort of comment really and come back on anything because there's nothing to come back on. The only thing for me, I certainly agree with that. But if there's a way to build out squad, you know, if you could get some squad players in, and I'm not talking about, you know, overly expensive mid-level players. If there are some deals to be done for squad players, I would be happy to go get some squad players. I think anything that we can get in terms of a Gomez from Wolves, for example, if we could get a deal done at a good price, a Neves, if we could get that done as well, I think that if we could get some deals done and sort of start to pad out that squad a bit more, I think that we could do okay. Grace says, we need a coach and not a manager? Interesting point, Grace. I think that's an interesting point. I think a manager. The problem here is this: a manager, to me, is somebody that is intrinsic to this club. A manager, to me, is somebody that runs the club from top to bottom. And what I mean is that, yes, you can have football people around you, but a manager, to me, is bigger than these players. So, for example, a Bruno Fernandes wouldn't be able to veto a manager, wouldn't be able to force Amorin into doing things. Bruno Fernandes, in my opinion, and this is not about him, this is about the power that he has. Bruno Fernandes, under a Fergie, would know his place. You know, we're talking, we had a Roy Keane who would absolutely stand up to a Ferguson, but was the absolutely epitome of a leadership. But Ferguson, Keane knew his position. That, to me, is a manager. Amorin is never going to do that. I don't believe we're ever going to have a sort of person who's going to have that power again. So, Grace, I think we need a coach. I think probably what we're going to go down the road is a coach. So, look, I think unless you can get a manager in who is a world-class, I don't think that's going to happen. So, I think we need a world-class coach. I'm a big United fan, says Theo. Twist says, what up? Hope you're well, boss. I'm getting giddy again. Twisted, mate, I hope you're doing extremely well. I'm good, and I hope you are too. JB, we're not getting anybody look who's in charge. And Grace, you know, this is what I said this morning. This is what I've been saying week after week. I am of the opinion it's Gallagher or fuck all. And that's sort of where I'm going to stay. Ahmad scored the Cameroon a man of the match. Look, Ahmad this season has been fantastic. I really, really like him. I think Ahmad, for me, is one of the success stories of Amorim this season. Whether or not by luck or by a design, or whether this is Ahmad just coming good, that's one of the success stories for me. So let's get on to Xerxy. Elsa says, hello. Couldn't get a game with the Rangers. But it's true. It's true. But again, Ahmad, I think at that point was quite young. So it is an interesting point. So Jackie, he couldn't get a game. But players evolve, right? Matthew says, what about the next 4 games? January is not looking good for the Reds. We won't have anyone signed until the summer. That's responsible. Yeah, so if you look at our Premier League games, it's Wolves, Wolves, Leeds, Arsenal, City. I think it's that. Or is Burnley in there as well? Let me I think is it Wolves, Leeds, Burnley, Arsenal. Yeah, I think it's Wolves at home, Leeds away, Burnley away, Arsenal, City. I think those are the next games, aren't they? FA Cup doesn't count. Yeah, so it's Wolves at home, Leeds away, Burnley away, City at home, Arsenal away. Yeah. It is, and like I said, summer period is going. Winter fixtures are going to determine what the position is. We need to win the next. We need to win the next 3. If we win the next 3, it puts us in a good position. Let's have a look. Alex Murphy. Really, really good name, by the way. Liverpool just made the change, although he worked with the transfer committee. Klopp was the manager, but Slot is the head coach. Didn't win us the league or cup. He's useless. We need to sell Xerxy. We will go nowhere with him. Look, Xerxy can't be blamed. You know, as much as I think people look to blame players, Xerxy is not to blame here. You know, Xerxy's definitely not the one to blame here. If we don't win stuff, it's not because of Xerxy. I think Xerxy needs to go from a personal standpoint for his career. But look, I'm not blaming him for anything at all. Wolves, Leeds, Burnley, Arsenal and City. 9 points needed before Arsenal and City. What about Arsenal? I don't care about Arsenal. If you're talking about the Arsenal game from a United perspective, if we can run into a bit of form, if we can sign a player, I don't think that we will. We stand a semi chance, but you know, like Arsenal fighting for a league. Can we realistically, in our form, go to the Emirates and get a win? And anything's possible. Anything's possible. He is not for running. Nobody's going to run for him. This is not the Red Cross. Do you think we really want Xerxy, or just a cheap deal that was easy to do because of his clause? I think that we probably scouted him, and I think we needed a player. I think that we didn't really scout him that well. I think we basically did the easy thing, and I think because of that release clause, Grace, I think you're right. I think that we got him because the age profile. I think even if, you know, it's like, even though he's not done well, we're pretty much going to get the money back. So I think you're right. I think there was a clause. I think it's a low risk as well. So let's see. Brownart says, I swear our fan base is so reactionary. It's like players can never have a bad game. Do you have a bad day at the office? Yes, he had a bad game. It happens. You know, yeah, it does. Xerxy, I don't think has been given a fair crack of the whip. It just happens like that. It just happens like that. So look, let's get on to the Xerxy stuff. So look, Roma have some apparently. So a couple of weeks ago, you know, there was talk that Roma had, you know, entered talks. They wanted to sign him on loan. We've basically said no because, you know, we want to get this player gone. I think we do want to get him gone. I think that's been the move, is trying to move these players out. Xerxy, whether he's been good or bad, I think he's still a very, very sellable player due to the age. In Italy, I think he's thought of extremely well. So there was to and fro. We rejected the Roma offer, and it looks like basically that they kind of was just like, okay, fine. But now in recent days, Roma, and I do think that this is going to happen. I do think that this. Now, the chink of light for people who want people to sign players, I think this Xerxy deal, I think if and when it does happen, which I do believe that it will, I think this opens a window for us to sign somebody. As it is, my stance on it is I don't think we sign a player unless it's a loan deal. I think if Xerxy goes, and I do think he will, I think this does open. I think this does open a window for United to sign somebody. I think if Xerxy goes, I think that United will possibly go and get somebody. Now, Baleba is not happening. People says, yo, I was in this morning's stream. Yes, I remember you from this morning's stream, my friend, and I hope you're doing extremely well. So Xerxy for me is this. If Xerxy goes, I do believe that we will have to make a move. Now, who do we go for? Get into the chat. Now, what I want is realistic players. Now, to bear in mind, this is where I think that we would go. I think we would go for decent squad players. I think we'd go for loan to buy. I think we'd go and sign possibly players who are in and around that 25 million to 35 million pound mark. Baleba, if those of you who want him, and look, let's just take out the player for a second, right? Baleba represents a first choice player, right? So let's just remove the player. That would be a first choice target. It may not be ours, but it is the club's. Baleba is not going to happen. As I said this morning, there's no reason why it shouldn't happen. United, if they want an Anderson now, go and get him. Whether or not he would come, if you're a big club, go and try and go to get him now. But that's fine. I fully accept that we are not that club and it would cost an extortionate amount of money. Now, Baleba is not going to happen despite what fan channels are going to say. They've been saying this today. Fabrizio Romano himself, David Ornstein, the two goats. David Ornstein gets stuff from the club. Fabrizio gets stuff from the club. And I will come on to some of the other bits and pieces that they've said as well. They both said as signing a deal for Baleba is unlikely to be done. It's not going to happen. It's going to be too high of a price. Brighton are going to want £80 million at least. He is not worth that money. He has fallen off of a cliff. He's not worth that money. So look, whether or not he's a good or bad player, this is about the first choice signings. We are not going to do that. So therefore, if there's an opportunity now, I would go and get some players who are better than the ones that we've got, with a view to go and get our first choice in the summer. The first choices, and Ornstein and Fabrizio, as much as I respect them, they've been regurgitating the same shit. The last 2 or 3 days, they're talking Baleba, Anderson, Stieler, Wharton. Like, fellas, like, shut the fuck up. Like, as much as I respect them, Fabrizio, Ornstein, they are the goats and that sort of shit. But they keep fucking talking about Anderson, Baleba, Wharton. Look, boys, like, fellas, like, just stop. Just stop the shit. Like, we all know. Like, nobody knows anything. Right? They are regurgitating. They're spinning the club shit. The club are trying to spin the Baleba, Anderson, Wharton stuff again. And it's just fucking tiring. Like, Ornstein, Fabrizio, I respect you guys. But can you please stop regurgitating the same shit? These players, Baleba, Anderson, Wharton, Stieler, etc., are summer deals. We're not in. I don't think we were going to get anywhere near those players other than a Baleba because he wants to come to us. Fellas, just shut the fuck up. Like, I'm tired. I'm tired of fan channels regurgitating this shit. I'm tired of these legend transfer experts talking about this stuff. So look, I've got no interest. Anderson, Baleba anymore, Wharton, etc. Just done. So look, Xerxy, let's get through it. Roma have submitted a formal bid, apparently. Structured as a loan with a conditional option to buy. Sorry, with a conditional obligation to buy. Euros between 38 to 40, rather than an outright permanent deal straight away. United have received the offer and are thinking about it. Xerxy is open to the move. Xerxy is given the green light. At the end of the day, Xerxy wants more playing time. There's a World Cup. Can Xerxy get into the World Cup team? Apparently talks are advancing. There are discussions between them. And do I think that this is happening? I do. There are talks that Xerxy has agreed personal terms, and United, Roma and Xerxy are looking to get this deal done. So look, I do think, barring a major injury, I think that this is going to happen. I do. I think Xerxy, for me, look, if you look at Xerxy, his head is just not there. I think Xerxy will go. I don't know if that will be towards the end of the window. I don't know if we have to go and sign somebody first. But for me, I do believe now that Xerxy will leave. So I think, as much as I like the player, as much as I do think that certain elements of this fan base have been too harsh on him, I don't think he's had a fair crack of the whip. There are some players that just don't seem to work out, whether or not they're good enough, whether or not we have given them the platform, the correct platform to succeed. Xerxy, I believe, will go. So look, we will keep an eye on it. Let's keep an eye on that, because I do think that will happen. Let me get through some of your chats as well. So what are we saying in the chat? Just go back. Let's go back. Just do it down that. It is not one game. It is months. Never wanted him. First of all, I wanted Amorim, not Xerxy. Samu Amorin from Porto, better than Xerxy. I'm praying that Neymar comes in the summer. Niche fan, mate. Neymar is not coming. Neymar is nowhere near it, Niche. Sometimes, Niche, right, mate, you know that I respect you and your opinions. Sometimes, I don't know if you're being real or not. Mate, Neymar is coming. Look, I get the opinion. Why would anybody want a Neymar? Look, this is your show tonight. I want you to get your opinions in. I'm asking you a question, right? Because I don't know the answer. I'm giving you a platform. Tell me what Neymar would do here. And look, that is a legitimate question. I wouldn't take him. I would love to know from your perspective why you would take a Neymar, and why are you praying for Neymar to come. Neymar might be done for this level. Palace edit says, no. Yo, I was in this morning stream, yeah. Lamine Yamal. Do you mean comment on him, or do you think he's going to come to this club? Because that, no. He was shit for months, not only versus Newcastle. He offers very few things in the game. Are you crazy? He's too slow. He's 6'3", doesn't get headers, doesn't run in behind. McAtee, yes, I do like that player, says Matthew. He's not good in the box. He's not a goal scorer. You know, Eindrick from Madrid went to Lyon on loan. If he does well, I reckon he should stay there instead of ruining his time at Madrid. Yeah, I did. I saw that. I didn't know that he went. Look, I think Eindrick, you know, I can't say with one of those players, because they did the same with, I can't remember his name now, that player that they signed from the Bundesliga. I can't remember if he was German or Austrian, and they signed that striker, and he was absolute crap. Look, Eindrick, I can't remember how much he cost. From memory, 40, 50 million. If I was him, yeah, Andrik, I would stay there. I wouldn't touch Madrid with a barred pole. I respect the club, but I think you're right. I do think you're right. Yeah. Shesko is a... Smiling Door says Shesko is a fraud. I disagree with you. I'll give you your opinion. That's your opinion. I disagree with you. Let's have a little look. Shesko's 10 times better than Xerxy. Do you like... I don't know what that is, Paul. Need a world-class defender and finisher, and the Red Devils. Smiling Door. I think that we need... This is what I think we need. I think we need another world-class defender. I think we need a world-class to first-choice midfielder. I think we need another striker. I think we are 6 or 7 players away, because I think we need a squad of players. So I think if you get at least 4 in here, 4 to 5, and get rid of some more shit, I think we are talking potentially between... We could maybe challenge 3rd or 4th. It's true though, just fucking tired of it. It's true, I am. All City says United's recruitment out of 10, 5. Easy peasy, 5. City or Arsenal for the title. Burdett, for me, City. We need to rebuild the midfield. I do agree. United recruitment out of 10, higher than a 5. No. For me, it's a 5. And look, I will explain my 5, maybe a 5.5. When I look at a transfer window, I don't just look at the players. I look at pre-season. Have they gone on the pre-season? Who we've signed, the speed in which they've signed. Now, are they the right players? I gave Inos maybe a 4 to a 4.5. I would probably give the transfer window a 5.5. The caveat to that is you can only really judge the transfer window the following season, because you don't know the players, right? So you can half judge, in my view, half judge a recruitment. You can't fully judge the recruitment until the next year, because you basically need to see what the players are like. So it says Steeler available for 40 million. Steeler and Neves 55 to 60 is what I would do this January. Look, Sully, if we could do that, all over it. The problem is Steeler has a buyout clause in his contract. So Stuttgart, at any point in time, can pay him £3 million and basically buy out the buyout clause. So we could do it, but Stuttgart would pay him the money, remove the release clause, and they can sell him for whatever they like. What did Erikson say about Amorin? Probably slammed him for having a name similar to the best manager in the world. I will go through that next as well. Let me go through these chats. Guahia's centre back alongside Lissandro Delict to replace Maguire. No, Steeler is 50 million. United recruitment out of 10. I did answer that. Manu Kone, yeah, I've heard that as well. You need to get rid of the Glazers. I agree with you. We need to get rid of those scumbags. I completely agree with you. Completely. We're never winning against this Palace. Glazer's gone. Glazer gone. Glazer recruitment out of 10. Fucking 3 or 2. Neymar would play 2 minutes and he'd be out for 2 years and be on £10 million a week. Exactly. Each fan is just rage baiting us. Never a good idea for a midfielder to go to City. Is Edison coming to United? No, I don't think so. Grealish, McAtee, Grealish, Calvin Phillips. Can you say no weird requests? Calvin was a disappointment. Shesko is good. He just needs time. I do agree. Day one, I'm not cutting until Palace win 5 games in a row. Shesko has a horrible first touch, says Gone. United need a world-class left centre-back, right centre-back. I feel you have depth. You need left-back, left wing-back, 1 experienced striker to help Shesko, and 3 midfielders and maybe a winger. I agree with you. I wouldn't touch wingers until the other positions are sorted. If this is sorted, you could challenge for 4th to 3rd. 2nd and 1st takes time. No. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I think you are fucking spot on, my friend. 4 defeats in a row, says Palace. What did Erikson say? Roger Smith, I will come on to that, mate. Let me just go for the chat. Matthew says, that's for being so unbiased. I'm old enough to remember Vida Everett in January. You know, I've never had a great history. I remember that like it was yesterday. I've been supporting this club now for a long time. Maverick says, sorry, but City are better. Yeah, they are. Like, the one thing, look, I don't want the banter, don't want the comments, but the one thing that always perplexes me, the one thing that always I don't get, right, are comments that say Arsenal are better than United, City are better. My response to that is, yes, you are, because we're shit. Yes, you are. You are. You are. So look, let's get on to what Erikson said. So, I will read it verbatim, and I will tell you exactly what he said. You guys give me your opinions on this as well, but I will tell you what he said, as long as I've got it in the right order. So basically, this is what Erikson had to say. Is this on winning trophies at the club? Erikson described how United winning domestic cups like the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup didn't feel like big things because of the club's huge history and expectations. He says for him, it felt like a normal small day rather than a major celebration because success at United is often only measured in league titles or Champions League wins. Now, he's having a little bit of a moan up there. On the basis that because they won a Carabao Cup and because we are the club that we should be celebrating these players when they win a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup. Now look, I know an FA Cup is a big thing, right? In terms of, I think an FA Cup win is a big thing. It's a very historic cup. But for him to have a little bit of a moan up, basically because the fan base and everybody else weren't singing their names because they won a fucking Carabao Cup and an FA Cup. And this interview that he's done just sums up the mentality of these players, sums up the mentality, not of these players, but sums up the mentality of the players that we had, on the basis that because we weren't celebrating and lauding these players because they won a fucking FA Cup, like Crystal Palace, right, for example, and this is no disrespect to Palace. I have so much respect for Palace. My wife's family are Palace fans. I think Palace are a fantastic club. But an FA Cup to Palace is huge, right? And as it should be, right? But Erikson, it goes to show the mentality of these players. They should be lauded around because they won a Carabao Cup. They should be lauded around because they won an FA Cup. Whilst it's good, and I would kill to win a cup again, this is why we fail. This is why over the last year, and us, I agree with you. We are shit. But we are shit. But when I say we're shit, I mean it in a mentality way. I mean it in a we've got a player who's played for us, and the first thing that he does is come out and start complaining about the facts that, oh, we won a Carabao Cup, we won another cup, and it didn't feel as if it was a big thing. Simon, I hope you're doing extremely well, my friend, because we didn't celebrate and laud these players like they were the fucking saviours because they won a Carabao Cup. Like, I'm not, and because he's saying because that the comparison between the league and a Champions League. Erikson, fuck off, mate. Like, look, it is the reason why we have to measure this club against leagues and Champions Leagues is because this is why at the moment this is why we're shit. And when I say that we're shit, I don't mean that this fan base is shit. I adore this club. What I mean by that is this toxicity that we've got in this club makes us shit. The shit owners, on our day we can be, but we're not consistent. And it's these players like this who are now coming out, and because they've left, you know, this guy was getting paid. It wasn't as if he was getting paid £2. The guy was getting paid 150k a week. And he's moaning because they were judged by leagues and Champions League. I demand this club wins a league every season. I demand this club gets into the Champions League. Not because I'm stupid, because we have to have standards. Liverpool has to have standards. And the reason why I mention them is because they are the closest club to us. We were the standard. Liverpool were the standard. Then we were the standard. Liverpool were the standard. We are the two biggest clubs. And now we have to judge ourselves. And Erikson is coming out and basically moaning and bitching and complaining on the fact that us fans didn't laud these players up. Pogba's, him, on the fact that they won a Tin Pot Cup. Look, it's just it just goes to show you, in my view, the mentality, the low mentality of these players. Man City are the standard. No, they're not the standard. They're not the standard. City, and look, this is not, well, if you want a standard of cheating the system, City are that standard. You know, if you want a club to be artificially inseminated by money, City are the standard. You know, and look, this is no dig at City fans, because look, at the end of the day, City fans have no choice. You know, and I don't blame fans for wanting to win leagues, and I don't blame the fans for wanting billions of pounds, and now you are probably the best team in England. I don't hold City up as the standard. City are not the standard. City are the anomaly. City are the example of what happens when you've got owners who want to win. They want to win unfairly. They want to artificially inject the club with money. So City are not the standard. They're just not. They're not. Before I go on to the next bit, I will come on to the chats. Matthew said, I loved Vida from day one. Aaron Cook says, I don't know where Newcastle is going to be at the end of the season. Look, Newcastle are going to, I think they're going to be in and around 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, mate. For you was Ronaldo the problem? No. There is no one player. As much as I can't stand these players, and I can't, right? There is no one player to blame here. I don't blame Fernandes. I don't blame Cristiano. I don't blame Pogba. The Glazers and Inos are the problem more than anybody else. So look, whilst I can't stand these players, there are some players now that I am beginning to like more. Ultimately, this is not on Amorin. Ultimately, this is not on the players. On the pitch, it is. The reason why we're in this mess is because of the Glazers. Good evening to you. Yeah, Scott. Right, mate, I'm going to go and get some sleep. Aaron, you're a legend. Murphy says United are never shit. Is realistic. Tajik says hello today. Good to see you. You're live again. Sending love from Dubai. Welcome, my friend. I hope you are doing extremely well. Henrik Larsson came in Jan. Everton Village 2. Larsson, mate. I love Larsson. It's a shame for me that Larsson didn't come earlier in his career. Like, Henrik Larsson was an absolute phenomenal player. United fans are so fucking... United fans are arrogant. Their entitlement stinks. I disagree, Des. I am not arrogant at all. I am, if you've listened to this show multiple times, I am honest where the position that we are. There's now, I think you're a City fan, right? If you are a City fan, Des, EFC, is that Everton? Don't know. But look, it's not an arrogance. It is a standard setting, right? If you are United, if you go back, right? If you're, for example, Aston Villa, Everton were winning leagues, right? You guys are big clubs, right? There needs to be a standard in place. Whether people like it or not, Liverpool have a standard. United have a standard. And I don't care what anybody says. Liverpool and us are the biggest clubs in this country. We are, in my view, well, factually, we are the biggest club. It's not an arrogance. We are irrelevant. And over the next 10 years, if we don't back up our ideas, we are no longer going to be the biggest club. It is not an arrogance. There is not an entitlement. When I say I want to win a fucking league, it's not because I think that we will. It is about standards. We need to keep standards up. So from my perspective, it's nothing to do with I think that we should just win the league. Those arrogant days are over. I could name you YouTubers who are very, very young, who protest that we are United. They have no idea because they were too young. I'm not going to name names, but they piss me off. And they're too young to know what this club is about. Their arrogance pisses me off. But I'm of an age. I've seen eras come and eras go. This channel is honest and will always be honest. Who is your favourite player of all time? Mine is Mark Hughes. You can look, Cantona second probably for me, but Mark Hughes for me is my hero. Mark Hughes for me is probably the best player of all time for me. Doesn't mean on the pitch he is the best player, but for me, from a personal standpoint, it's Mark Hughes. Title predictions as of now, says Logan. I'm going to say City. I think City at the moment are putting up one huge fight. Pep knows how to go on a run. I think Arteta is the epitome of a bottle job. I want Arsenal to win the league over a City, but I think City are going to win the league again. I do. City are the standards. No, they're not. Hello, bro. Hello, Madrid. I hope you're doing extremely well, my friend. How much authority does the manager have over the president and training officers? I mean, the power to decide who plays and who's benched. Also, do you think the squad has to be the manager's face? Some good questions there. In this instance, Amorin doesn't have. Amorin has a say. So United now have a football committee. So what that means is now when Amorin gets blamed for the players that are signed, he doesn't sign the players. Amorin has an input. Amorin is a coach. Amorin is the head coach. Amorin should absolutely have the final say on who plays. Okay. Now, I think there is a debate to be had here about, in terms of a formation as a team. I think Liverpool, for example, have a style of play that they want to play. So any coach that they hire says, look, you have to fit into a remit of a 4-3-3. So what they do is they go and hire a coach who plays a similar brand of football to what Liverpool want to play. As a club, we are allowed managers within the remit of 4-3-3 to do whatever they liked. Instead of saying, this is our way, we play with wingers, we play with a back four, we play with wingers, we play wide, we play with one or two strikers. This is the way that we play, and go and get a manager to fulfill that criteria. It should be the club, in my view, it should be the club who dictates what the style of players. Look, I've got no issue then of leaving the coach pick players. They're in control of the team. You know, as long as you're in the remit of what this club plays. But what we've done, instead of being bold and saying, like, this is how we've set up to play, we've gone from coach to coach and let them impose their brand on us. And then the ultimate thing that Inos have done, because they're fucking clueless, they have zero plan, they decided to go and get a coach who plays a brand of football we have never played in our history. And we've allowed that to dictate. Now, I think the football club is now trying to impose a 4-3-3 on a coach who's fighting against a 4-3-3. And what does that mean? It means that we have an absolute mess. Now, the power should be with the manager. And absolutely, 100%, favourites should not be first choice. You should pick your team based upon best in class. Whoever the best player is, there needs to be competition for places. Whoever is your best player in terms of consistency, those are the players that should play. We've had so many bad times. It's always better to have better times. And Liverpool, in fairness, who remembers their fake treble proves your last point. Look, nobody talks about their treble. The only person who talks about the Pep treble with City are City fans. Nobody talks about the treble. Nobody talks about that because it's bollocks. Everybody knows City's treble is fake. It's absolutely fake. Merrick says, sorry, it has to be Rooney. City have dominated for the last 10 years. Don't care, Des. Couldn't give a shit. Rooney, top 3 behind Cantona and Ronaldo for me. Villa did it again. Another big club beaten. Villa are a fantastic club. QWERTY says, good day, JB. Good day. I hope you're doing extremely well. How can I check the full hierarchy of the club, starting from the starting 11, manager, nutritionist, training, investors. Could you give me some information on where I can learn about it? Go on to the website. There's the website. You can look at the financial statements. So look at the financial statements. Those are there as well. So go and look at Companies House. There are financial statements in there. Go and look at basically the club hierarchy. Chat GBT is really, really good as well. So look on the United homepage. Look on Companies House. The information is there. It will tell you everything on there about the sort of like hierarchy. Investors wise, you should be able to, again, it'll be on the financial statement because they're floated on the New York Stock Exchange as well. So check that out as well. So look, there are places to go. Go to Companies House, New York Stock Exchange, Chat GBT will help as well. Look at their like homepage as well. How much is Xerxy worth? I think Xerxy, is probably worth 35 to 40. I think he'll probably go to Roma for in and around 35 to 37. Top 4 is within our reach, says QWERTY. Legend says, do you know about Besiktas? I do. I mean, I'm no expert, but I do. Someone says, I watched Scrooge at Christmas, and I'm sure I saw one of the Glazers. I watched the Muppets version of the Christmas Carol. Yeah, I definitely saw the Muppets on that. Are you live 24/7? No, I tend to do 2 shows a day around work and around family life, just because that is real life. Until this channel gets bigger and bigger and bigger, this is part-time for me. I do it around work, so I do have some long days. But look, I try to do at least 2 shows a day. Roma want Xerxy on loan with an option to buy. Luke Green says people would love to be like City. The way football is now, unfortunately, I don't disagree. I think most fans and most people would like to have owners. And look, whatever I think of what City do, they have owners who are hell-bent on winning things. This is not a dig at City fans, right? You have no choice in the things your club does, right? You have no choice, right? What I admire is that you've got owners who are hell-bent on winning stuff. You've got owners who are willing to put cash into the club, willing to back a manager. Look, how they got there is up in court, but look, we will put that to the side. Any club in this country, United, Liverpool, Chelsea, if you had owners who were hell-bent, and look, Bowley to a degree for Chelsea, that can be argued because he spent £2 billion, that's fine. But City have not only have they sorted out the stadium, they are obsessed with winning things. They went out and got one of the best coaches in the world. They have provided him players. You know, that you are right. Any club in the world would want that. But with that comes a certain level of scrutiny. And I think as much as City fans may not agree with it, and I'm not blaming City fans here, the things that City have done and the way that City were bought, look, it comes with, look, in the next 10 years, no one's going to give a shit, right? But right now, you just have to, it's just a case of, look, people are going to, whether or not it's out of a, in my case, it's out of a what's right. I don't think City have done things that have always been right. Like, other than that, I don't really care. It's City, you know. Des says I'm an Evertonian. Did United play 4-4-2? They played a 4-3-3. I'm a Derby fan, says Luke Green. Derby again, mate. And I remember you from the last stream. Derby County. Remember Derby from the old league, mate. Wolves getting closer to relegation trapdoor. Yet another defeat. It just shows you how football can turn. It does. Hopefully we will beat Wolves 3-0. I noticed the lower division clubs sacked their managers before Premier League ones, and yet Wolves boss still has his job. Well, the Wolves boss, the reason why they've gone for an Edwards is because they've got an eye on going down. So Edwards is a championship coach. So the reason why Edwards is keeping his job is because they want a manager to go into the championship. So look, Edwards is a strategic move. Edwards is not going to be expected to stay in the Premier League. That is why Edwards is here, because I think Wolves are resigned to the fact that they're going to go down, and Edwards has been put in there as a strategic position because he's a championship coach. Luke says I'm 39 and not even seen Derby at their best. Pretty much says Scholes and Vidic for me. Mine was Paul Ince. I love Paul Ince. Thanks, mate. Derby are shit, but I love him. City's success this year all depends on how corrupt they and the FA have been. City are false champions. City have dominated United for the last 10 years. Some of the best football I've ever seen, and this is coming from an Everton fan. City deserve respect. I disagree, Des. Disagree. 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 Look, I people can like. I'm not going to disrespect your opinion, mate. That is your opinion. I'm not saying that opinion is wrong. I respectfully disagree on the basis that City have been caught cheating. Whether you like it or not, the FA, and it's been found out by files, City have cheated. According to the Premier League rules, what is happening now is the City are not arguing whether or not they've cheated, because they have. What's happening now is whether or not they can get away with it. So there is no grey thing here. City have been caught cheating. There are files out there. There are documents that prove it. There is no respect from it, and this is not against the fans. This is not disrespecting the fans. The fans did zero wrong. I do not respect the hierarchy of the club because they've been caught with their hands in the till. Nothing to do with the fans, nothing to do with me. That is what's been leaked. That is what they've been charged with. It's whether or not now a separate court are going to find them guilty of what they've done. Looks like Xerxy is going to be the first on the New Year list. My second choice is Ugarte. I completely agree with you. They do need some recognition. Sell the rat. Fernandez, no captain, just a jumped up rat. We need to sign Camavinga. If you don't have a midfielder, come and Ugarte, go nowhere. No chance, we're done. Cavani retired today. It's about time. I mean, I thought Cavani was already in his 50s. A one who believed Jim is in for it for the club is, mate, Sir Jim is not in for it. Sir Jim is not in this club because he's a fan. I've spoken about this before. Sir Jim is in it for the money. I respect all opinions on this this. I again go back. I've done many shows on this. Sir Jim is in this for the money. The regeneration is what he is here for. If you go back and you follow the trails, if you go back even sort of last week, if you look back and what Inos are doing, Sir Jim is not even putting money into a failing part of Ineos. Sir Jim is getting handouts from the taxpayer to prop up one of the businesses that he has. Sir Jim is taking a grant. Bearing in mind, Sir Jim is a billionaire. Ineos is his company. There is an arm that needs help, and Sir Jim is not willing to put his own cash into a business that he owns. He'd rather take taxpayers' money from me and you to pay for his debts. This is the person that is running this club. Jira says, hi, Qatar would have been great. Ollie sealed the treble with his late goal in the Champions League final. All the cheating City's titles are accompanied with an asterisk FC. Hi, New York won final, it's okay. If we had Emery as a boss, then we would be top 3 by now. The FA Cup win was after the Champions League. Parabellum, you're right. Has football been the same in previous decades? I mean, managers are going through so much pressure. Also, some managers sticking to a system that the players doesn't like. As players being too soft? No. The players are softer now. You can go back through the years and years and years, right? But it's probably too long to explain in this show. But the difference was managers had the final say. Now, players respected the coach. Players almost policed themselves. Players had more respect for the badge. Players had more respect for the fans. And the reason is because back in the day, footballers, don't get me wrong, were always extremely well paid. But they weren't as well paid as they are today. So most players played for the love of a club. Most players played because they loved the game. Don't get me wrong, towards the mid-90s, the 90s, that is when they started to get paid millions of pounds. But the difference is passion. The difference is there were different sorts of players. It was a different era, a different time. You know, you can't really compare the two. But players of yesteryear were a lot tougher than the players are now. Players today are more athletes rather than pure technical players. Different eras. Is there any Mockle Masters or Ram? Says Graham. Graham is a legend. Thanks, my friend. Mockle Masters, where are you? Come and say hello to me. I know you're out there. What's something very stupid in today's football, according to you, for example, Alonso trying to play system but players can't adapt for his bad luck. Madrid has so many injuries. What's something stupid in today's game? I think the overcomplication of rules, right? So you've got VAR, you've got all these different rules now. You've got games that are stopped and started. Teams now play 98 minutes. Football used to be really, really simple. For me, something that I think is really, really stupid today is the overcomplication of something that used to be really pure. Used to be really, really simple, extremely pure. And now, because of sponsorship deals, because of VAR, because of people want their fingers in the pie, the over complication, the vast amounts of money, I think have destroyed the game. More money, more problems. If football clubs are companies, not just a football club, it seems like the best channel I've come across. It's so unbiased, very refreshing in this day and age. Thanks. Look, Matthew, this is what we try and do. I don't believe in I do not believe in a biased view. We say it as we see it on here. I don't do clickbait. I give you guys your view. I will read your opinions. Doesn't mean your opinions are wrong. And I'll always give you a platform for your views. And this is why this show takes so long, is because I really do give you a platform. If City had Fergie as a boss instead of United, hypothetically they would still win a shed load of silverware. Interesting. Lean says, that's not nice, Lean, is it? That's not very, very nice at all, Lee. That is not very nice at all. What's your favourite goal of last season? For me, it's Serbi's goal against Barca. From things he has come through, alcohol, hardships. Can you share a similar favourite football goal from last season? It's my favourite goal from last season. I'll have to think about that one. Who are the mighty Reds? Simon says, hypothetically, if Amorin goes, would you still have Rude as an interim boss after his tenure at Leicester? No, I do not want. Look, the only interims I want are best in class. I don't want to go down the ex-player route unless the ex-player is the best in class, or a manager with potential. Rude for me is, if we sack this manager, we're fucked. It doesn't matter. So the caveat to that for me, Simon, is this: if we sack the manager, we're fucked. So it doesn't matter to me. Bring in Ollie, bring in Rude, bring in Jose Mourinho, doesn't matter, because if we can't make this work, we're screwed. So if we fail, bring in Rude, bring in Ollie. It doesn't. At that point, I don't care, because we're screwed. I too enjoy watching 22 men run around getting sweaty in shorts, playing with balls. Yeah, Man City should be. So Lee says City should be relegated, but bet they ain't gonna got the nuts to do it. City will not be relegated. They just won't be. City have too good lawyers. When you have owners who are billionaires, I guarantee you, City will not go down. I'll be surprised if City even get 6 points. When I saw the highlights of the Newcastle match, their players were running around as though they were still full of festive food and booze, but we burnt off ours. Semenyo deal was never a good idea, in my opinion. We signed Cunha and Mbeumo for a reason. We also have Bruno, Mount, even Ahmad, and the Academy 2 at 10. Tulip Play says, hey JB, hello Tulip, I hope you're doing extremely well. Dorgu spends a lot of time on the floor, worse diver than Grealish, Gordon, and Fernandez. Disagree. Day, mate, look, it's really easy. Look, Day, mate, I don't know why. Day, I don't know why you're a little cunt, mate. Day, I don't know why you're being a little prick. Absolute wanker. It's easy. It's easy done, mate. Easy done. And how many players do we need to sell and loan in the window? Simon, realistically, I would love to have the conversation. right? Tulip Play says there, I agree with her. I do agree that we've got the money there. If Xerxy gets sold, with the money that we supposedly have, we should be that club and going to get our number one view, number one choice. That's not going to happen. Simon, it's a bit of a difficult one for me to answer because that's more of a summer question to me, right? If I'm going to answer it, and this is your show, if I was going to get, look, I'll tell you who I will get rid of, not necessarily in this window, but for me, I get rid of a Dalot, I get rid of a Luke Shaw, I get rid of a Mason Mount, Bienda, Maguire, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Malacia, Ugarte, Xerxy, and I would just basically go and get a brand new team. That is not going to happen. We really need to sell. If we want to progress as a team, we need to sign some new players. We need at least 4 or 5. Get rid of 4 and 5 players. But realistically, we might sell 1. We might get him in 1. And I think that's it, my friend. I believe it looks quality for Cameron again. Maybe the conspiracy that he's trying to get his transfer value down is true. It wouldn't surprise me, Tulip. I do think that Baleba is a good player. But all this talk, look, Ornstein, Fabrizio, as much as I've said tonight, look, I'm fucking bored of them too. Whenever they talk, I listen, but they keep coming out with the same shit again. Anderson, Baleba, Wharton, Stieler. Look, boys, fuck off. Like, just stop regurgitating the same shit, right? Baleba is not coming. Fabrizio has said it himself. Unless Brighton lower that price, Brighton, I've not named the price, but Brighton here and now are going to want 80 million for him. Never happening. Sir Shesko and Ugarte are shit. Disagree with Shesko, but again, Shesko is Anana in the team. Cameron won't win AFCON. Shesko is worse than Hoyland. Disagree, Aaron. I disagree. Ryan Goodwin says the one thing that really annoys me with today's game is the player power is ridiculous. Lunatics are running the asylum, as the saying goes. Football is being Americanized. The more static, the better. You've been watching football for quite a long time. Any comment on Barca's Algeria's case? I don't know, mate. I don't know. I don't know enough. I don't know enough about their club, mate. I can't comment on a club that I don't know about. I spend my fortnights watching my local club. Any news on Mount's injury? So the latest on Mason Mount is that the reason why he came off is because he felt a twinge. Who knows? Who knows with Mount? It could mean, I think Mason Mount is going to be out. How long he's out for, I don't know. But apparently he come off because of a twinge. So look, he might be available for the next game. The presser should be out tomorrow. So we'll know more than tomorrow. But the last I heard was that Mason Mount is not a serious injury. But you just don't know. Look, you just don't know with Mason Mount. You just don't know. Lewis says Fabrizio just said Xerxy is done loan with a 40 million obligation. Let me see. Let me see. Leewood. Let me see. Leewood. Let me see. Leewood. All right. Let me see. Romano. Let me see if there is some news. Xerxy to Roma. No, not from what I can see, mate. But we'll see. We'll see. I will keep an eye on it. But as I said at the top of the show, I do think Xerxy is going to go. I do. I think it's a done deal. If you look at how he's playing, if you look at like how he's used, I absolutely think that he's gone. Keep Mount and Bruno and Shaw. No thanks. I wish I could find a football content creator like who talks about La Liga. Unfortunately, there are none, and most don't really reply a lot of comments. And I understand how passionate you are. Thanks, mate. No deals. And Matthew, mate, I think you're spot on. Like, Belabor is not coming. I am sick and tired of creators giving creators a bad name, because there are so many other channels like the same as this one who I think are realistic. I think they're very, very good. But there are other channels who do shit for clickbait, and their reactions are OTT. They scream, they shout, they moan, they bitch, they whinge. Just look at them. Just look at it. Look at the content. Look at the articles. I wish fans, if you look at the evidence and the trail that's there, it will tell you everything that you need to know. None of them were worth 80 million, says Gon. I do agree. I think we should get Ruben Neves for now, help out in the midfield league. I am with you. If the reports are correct and he's worth, and they want £15 million, I agree with you. Like, we need squad players. Like, people are turning up their nose at a Gallagher, right? We're not going to get our first choice. We still need squad players. If you put a singular centre midfielder into this team with the same team for next season, hoping we're going to win a league or finish third, you are deluded. We need four or five players. We need 2 or 3 first team players. We need squad players, and we need youth. So we absolutely, Leewood, I agree with you. We need to go and get some good quality squad players who can push first teamers. Yeah, we're not going to get into that. How did you get that shirt, and how much I want an anniversary shirt, mate? There's a place called Retro Shirts, and they pretty much do all of the shirts, and I think they are 3 shirts for 80 quid. So it works out what, like 35, not even that. It works out what, 20 odd quid a shirt. 20 odd quid a shirt, so 25 quid a shirt ish, 27 quid a shirt. So go to Retro Club, I think it's called, and I'm going to get some more shirts as well, by the way. So go on to that site. Brilliant site. Please do not excuse me of no, that's gone. Do you know anything about Rashi? As a Villa fan, I want him back so bad, or is he going? Look, first of all, Aston Villa. Respect. Aston Villa, brilliant. What a fabulous season. I'm so pleased for you guys. Absolute fantastic season. He's not coming back here. Rashford is not coming back here. Will Rashford go to Villa? Potentially. I think Barcelona is where he wants to go. But look, if Aston Villa maintain where they are, which I think you guys will, and if Aston Villa get into the Champions League, look, Rashford could go back. He's not coming back here. JB, do you think Ndoye from Villa could play left wing back? He's a great dribbler, plays left mid for Everton, but tracks back. Amorin has mentioned him. Yeah, I agree. I really like Ndoye. I do. I think he's quick. I think he's powerful. I agree. I really like Ndoye. So, no, I think our list as fans is huge, and also with Ndoye, Premier League proven as well. Just thinking of alternatives to the sum with Semenyo. Many fans says, I can finally make the time to watch your streams. Thanks, mate. Look, appreciate it. Simon says, Aiden Heaven is not going to switch allegiance from England to Ghana in the World Cup. Heaven qualifies for Ghana through a grandparent and Ghana FC, despite Ghana being in the same group as England. United recruitment out of 10. Thanks for the shout out, Matthew. Mate, this is your show, right? This show for me is the best show. Anything goes pretty much. I'll always come in with some sort of opinion. I'll come in with a topic or two, and we just do whatever we like on it. Gon says Neves is definitely the best out of the rejects. I feel that we need young players for our midfield and defence. Villa could beat City and Liverpool on the run they're having. They eat big clubs for dinner and spit them out. Dick Emery has been first class. Cunha twice the man as Rashford. Neves for 15 at 28 as a rotation option is not bad at all. It's been proven too. Then we can sell Ugarte in the summer with the money we get from Xerxy, Haaland and Rashford selves. I agree. Can sign Baleba and Anderson, Walton. I don't disagree, Chilip. I just don't think that we're gonna get into that Anderson race unless we get to Champions League places. But look, let's see. So look, next part that Christian said is this. So Erikson said that his reflection on the 24-25 season, he says he admitted United were lucky not to go down given how poor the season was, and noted the fan support was important even when the results were bad. I don't think many of you have said this. I've probably said this. I disagree with Erikson. I do not think that we were lucky not to go down. I think we were in a position whereby we were in danger of being dragged into the race. We were not lucky. Erikson, to me, in this interview, sounds like he's shown his true colours. Do you even support United, or are you? And Aaron, I don't get it, mate. Do you want to give me more context, Aaron? Aaron, give me some more context on your opinion. I'm not getting on to a different person who I don't know. Give me your opinion. Give me more context into what you're saying. If what you're saying is because I'm not on here saying, oh, United are the best club in the world, we're perfect, our players are amazing, oh, we're sitting fucking sixth in the league, oh, fucking great. No. Because that sort of shit isn't true. I've been watching this club since 1988. I've watched every single game this season. I've stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning streaming, watching this team. I know what I see. The difference between me and everyone else, really, and people on this channel, is that we're real. We don't do clickbait. My opinion doesn't change from morning to the afternoon. People don't like it. People don't like the truth. People don't like truth. I've been supporting this club, mate, since 1988. Goldbridge, I couldn't give a toss. Right? Good luck to him. Because whatever he's done, the guy has got millions of views. Right? Good luck to him. Right? I can't really say I watch the channel. I get sent things. I've supported this club. Aaron, I don't know like how old you are, mate, but unless you are 42 years old, I've supported this club longer than you. So Goldbridge, nothing to do with me. Channel is zero to do with me. I don't know the content. The only thing that I see on the channel is the thumbnails. So, you know, mate. So look, Erikson, to me, this interview, it feels like he's pissed because he didn't get a brand new contract. Erikson, to me, is summing up the mentality of these players. Simon says, I've been a fan for 51 years. Big up to Simon. Through thick and thin, seen so many sites, some enough to make your hair curl. And Simon, look, you know, guys, give it up to Simon. 51 years supporting this club. Simon, I'm like, mate, there are many people on here like Simon who've been supporting this club for longer than me. I will be coming up to my 38th year. Simon is 51 years in. I mean, Simon, respect, my friend. United fan says, if Xerxy wants to go, then it's sad, but we should do it. But will we regret it? He's such a good dribbler. No, because he's not playing. You know, it's almost like having a Porsche, right? Imagine if you've got a Porsche. It's sitting there, never being used. It's just sitting there with rust on it. Like, you might as well give it away because someone else can use it. We don't use him. I think it's only fair on him and it's fair to us. Get rid of him and go and get another player. Look, I think as fans, we've been lulled into this mindset of if we get rid of a player, right, we're going to regret it, right? What should happen, and this is not a dig, right, is that what should happen if we sell a player, and this is not to you, by the way, this is to the club. If we sell a player, go and fucking buy another player. Like, if players are not good enough, go and buy another player. It is as simple as that. Look, Xerxy, will we regret it? Possibly. Go and sign another player. Like, this board is pissing me off, and we've been so starved as fans that we automatically think to ourselves, oh my God, we know we're not going to sign a player, or we're going to be short. Why are we? We need to go and sign another player, but this club is just a joke. We should sign a striker before letting Xerxy go in case Shesko picks up another injury. So I've said this in this window. I want a centre midfielder and I want a striker who is, look, it doesn't necessarily have to be a first choice striker. I think Ivan Toney would be perfect. Even Mateta. Mateta could be a first choice. I want a player who's in and around 20, 28, 29, who can still push a Shesko, but can teach him as well. Ryan Goodman says, 32 supported the club my whole life. It's so sad to see where the club is now, just the lack of challenging for major trophies. It's like we have lost our identity. I do agree. Villa fan here, can't believe what we are doing. Like Lee, mate. Lee, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I would love Villa to win the league. Of course, I want us to win the league. It's never going to happen. It'd be so nice for football that a team like Villa, and what I mean by that is a team that had to sell players for PSR in a season where Liverpool spent basically £500 million. City spent a lot of money as well. For Aston Villa in that season to win a league, Lee, I think would be probably up there with one of the best league wins of the last 20 years. Because when Leicester won the league, don't get me wrong, that was a fantastic season, but everybody else was shit. This season, Arsenal are good, City are good, Aston Villa are good this season. In a season where Liverpool spent £500 million, City have bought a ton of players. If Aston Villa can win this league, mate, it will be. I think you'll find most neutral fans will support you guys. So look, I've got my fingers crossed. I hope you guys can sort of maintain it. Fingers crossed. His replacement was going to be Semenyo, and look how that went. Been saying a lot of our players had been fake so many occasions. Signing off for the night. Amazing channel. I've just found I'm 42. Look, Matthew, mate, appreciate it, buddy. Look, this channel was only as good because there's people like you who come to the channel and contribute. So look, thank you so much, my friend. Ollie Watkins, yeah, Kane would have been ideal before he went to Bayern. Shesko is never going to make it here. Absolutely a dreadful player, says Fresh. Interesting opinion. Loaning Vardy. How I would love to have Rodgers in the team. He's on fire right now. Villa showing what a top-level coach can do. If Villa does win the league after Arsenal bought the last 3 games, I'll be dining on this for ages. My greengrocer would be annoyed as he's an Arsenal fan. Want Xerxy, etc. to do well, but if the decisions are made by the club, must be efficient and go-getters. Get the right players. I do agree. I truly don't understand how we go from trying to get a Gyökeres to Shesko, while we didn't just get Osimhen or Ollie Watkins. And again, look, I think those are valuable opinions. These are questions that were asked at the time. I think I asked those at the time as well. And the reason why we didn't get some of these players were lack of ambition. The end of the day, because of where we finished, Gyökeres didn't want to come. There is no point in pretending that we didn't go to try to get these players. We tried to get these players. We were snubbed. Osimhen was too much money. Osimhen wanted 300k a week. As much as I like him, he's not worth that. Watkins, it was a choice between Watkins and Shesko. That was a business decision based on age. I think Watkins probably would have been the better deal to do. But look, we are where we are. It's not our fault. This is why we are in the mess that we're in. Manos says, hi, hello, my friend. Shesko is fine. He will get better and better and better. I do agree. United is after Russell Martin. Any word? No. Osimhen's contract was too big. Watkins has been terrible this season until the last few games. Miguel says, hi, we tried to get Gyökeres. He said he wants Arsenal. Osimhen say yes to coming at one point. Look, Osimhen was too much money. Osman wanted 350k a week. Someone says, time to brush signing Blaber under the carpet. New Year's coming, so let's go for others. I'm glad we didn't get Gyökeres. Yeah, I mean, look, I do agree. There was another thing that that Erikson said, and it pissed me off a bit, right? Out of curiosity, who is our best academy striker? So there is Biancheri, who is a Welsh striker. Now, OB, he's not really doing much, but Biancheri for me is the one to watch. I really, really like him a lot. I think he's really, really good. I really, really like him. So check him out. He's a fantastic striker. Now, one of the things that he said that pisses me off. So Erikson said, on the pressure of the United shirt, he talked about how playing for us carries a huge historical comparison, saying that every player's performance is judged against the legends like Casemiro against Keane, which adds immense pressure on current players. Right? I just want to say that again. Erikson basically said, he talked about how playing for this club carries a huge historical comparisons, saying that every club's performance is judged against the legends like Casemiro against Keane, which adds immense pressure on current players. Oh, for fuck's sake. I mean, these are the players that were playing for this club. Erikson was getting paid 150k a week. It just goes to show the mentality of these players. Now, bearing in mind, he's sort of on the cusp of an old schoolish player, right? It goes to show the mentality of these players who cannot handle historical comparisons. Do these players not think? Do these players just think that the likes of Roy Keane, the likes of Giggsy, the likes of Beckham, the likes of Rooney, the likes of Pallister, Schmeichel, were not compared to Charlton, were not compared to I know Ryan Giggs was compared to best, right? Was compared to best. This is what you fucking do at a good club. At a legendary club, what you do is you compare and contrast. Does he not think Robbo? Does he not think that King was compared to him? Does he not think that, you know, Mark Hughes was not compared to a Law? Obviously, there is no comparison there. Rooney was compared to Dennis Law. Like, this is what you do. And you've got these players, and it goes to show the mentality of these players. And if you want the epitome of, you can tell how this disease has filtered through. Because the other day you had Fernandez or like whoever it was complaining. Sorry, it was a random source complaining about, oh, the pressure's too much, we can't deal with the pressure. Oh, this pressure's too high, we can't deal with it. You've got Erikson then talking about how the players can't handle the pressure. If you can't handle the pressure, fuck off. Like, I can't deal with this, with these low IQ, moany bastard players who are just absolutely just have no. If you can't handle the culture in this club, and this is why when we sign players, we need to be not only look at the talent, mentality. Looking at the mentality. If you're being compared to Roy Keane, then guess what you should do? Raise your game to be at his fucking level. Do not moan and play and go, oh, I can't ever attain that level. Why not? If you can't attain that level, leave. Like, you're getting paid out. He got paid 150 grand, and his biggest complaint was that the team was compared to the legends. as it fucking should do. You should become legends. These players who come into this club, their aim should be to be a legend of this club. Their aim should be to emulate in their own way to become a legend. You don't need to be a Rooney. Be your own legend at this club. And the problem is these players come for a payday. Erikson, this interview for me was a fucking car crash. He's just going to, and I had respect for him, right? He can piss off. Absolutely piss off. I've got no respect for a player who wants to come here, take 150k a week, leave on a free, and can't stand the criticism. You know, he's left, and like a little snake, he's then gone on to now publicly have a pop at the manager. He's then coming and defending the players, saying that it's really difficult. It's so hard. It's so difficult. We can't handle their comparisons. But please pay us 200k a week. But we can't handle the pressure. Piss off. Like, Erikson has just exposed, for me, it's just exposed what these players are. Because if you listen to the interview that came out from a source about a month ago, they were saying the exact same thing. So this is what we've got in this club. And again, it tells you everything that you need to know. Because it's not a transfer chat, this will get missed, as it always does. It tells you everything you need to know about the state in this club. That we've still got players at this club, and this is from the previous fucking season. But we've got players here that their biggest issue is that they can't stand being compared to the old players because they know they're not good enough to wear the shirt. And this is ultimately where we are. So look, we need to start signing players who are fit for the shirt. I'm not asking you to be a world-class player. I'm not asking you to be the best player in the entire world, even though we do. I'm asking for players who are willing to come to this club and play for the badge, who are willing and understand what this club is. So Erikson, for me, has basically just mugged himself off. I think he's an absolute complete twat. But it's just another former player who wants to stick in the knife of this coach, but yet at the same time exposes himself. He might as well have gone out into a public place and pulled his pants down, because he's just exposed himself for the gutless, low IQ, weak mentality player that he is, and the low weak mentality player that he's played with. So he's just exposed himself. Absolutely exposed himself. Let me read the chats before I go. So Gabriel, as a striker, yeah, I do agree. I kind of agree with you what Erikson said. There is it true? Do we live in the past? I think sometimes, and I do agree with this. Look, when I talk about the past on here, because I lived it, right? I don't talk about the past because that's like all I've got. I personally, Ryan, look to the past because you can take examples and you've got to take the standards. So if you look at Fergie, if you look at that class of 92, you look back to Dennis Law, George Best, the Charlton days, because you take what they were. We can look back to the past, and those lessons are still here now. The football has changed, mentality hasn't. You can still bring the mentality through, and that's the one thing that we lack. So look, whilst we look back to the past, the only one thing I want to take from the past, those days are gone. Those days are long gone. But where I look back to the past are for the standards. I look back for the standards, and I look back because those are the mentality type of players that we need. United's women's team have already made a signing before the window opens, but the men teams will leave it to the last minute and loan in some players. Erikson doesn't know what he's talking about. Gallagher on loan. They are legends, but we can't compare them to these players. The game is different now. And Ryan, look, you can't compare player to player. But if you look at mentality of player, you have to bring that in. Look, because if you don't use the lessons of the past, how do we maintain the standards? Go through that one. Gallagher on loan in Jan. I do agree with you. Anana's passing was trash too. Right, yeah. Our culture is graft, intelligence, and being brave. Only a handful of them at Old Trafford since Fergie. Cunha in Bermo Delict has it currently. Agreed it. If we want another keeper, we call Vitek. Ishmael, I don't know what you're doing, mate, but you're gone. No, confused with Erikson. Christian Eriksen, I don't think it was that confusing. Belabor in the summer will happen. I do agree with you. These players should realise that the Prem is a tough league. As the saying goes, if you can't stand the heat, then get out of the kitchen and play for a lower league team instead. Exactly. United haven't revamped the midfield in years. Erikson was washed for us. Getting paid. The legends, they don't want the pressure. Soft. Senny has been solid for sure. A long road to go. Been more like 75 years. Still we play like it's the 1930s. We don't need to worry about Erikson's comments though. He's going to get Wolfsburg relegated, so he needs just to stop. These young players have all the time and resources to be better than the old legends. In the olden days, as soon as a player scored a goal, you saw him kissing the badge. Where can I read the full interview? I read some of his quotes, and I don't feel like he slams Amorin at all. Hesty, if you read it, read it. It's on Eurosport, so look on Eurosport. Tribuna, I think it's on there as well. So I think it's on Eurosport. Look on Eurosport Hispana, I think it is. It's not necessarily the Amorin comments that bug me, even though there is a little bit of a dig there. What bugs me the most is him talking about the pressure of playing in this club. The comparisons. Oh, you can't compare us to the legends because we can't deal with it. It's that for me. It's just that whole piece that his biggest concern was the fact that when they won a cup, we didn't have our tongue up their asses. We weren't lauding them like they were the next big thing, And then he then goes out and moans that we compare them to Roy Keane. Damn fucking right, we're gonna compare you to Roy Keane, or we're gonna compare you to Beckham, just like we compared Rooney to Dennis Law, like we compared Cristiano to Beckham, like we compared Roy Keane to a Robbo, to a Bobby Charlton. Like, that is what you do. Nowadays, you get tantrums, players with bigger egos, bigger than the Grand Canyon. There's only one name I want in the midfield, and that's Stiller. Until the summer, United are a championship team. Jamie, well, we're not, are we, mate? But let's go. Let's go by. Would he say these things about Ten Hag? And my guess is no. So he's criticism of Ruben. He is, Pressure is a privilege. It should be a privilege to play for United. That's where I disagree. And Ryan, you're spot on. Ryan, I applaud that comment. I applaud that comment 100%, Ryan. I think, Ryan, I think you've summed it up there better than me. Playing the pressure of playing for this club, as Ryan has said there, it's a honour, a privilege. The pressure comes from what this club demands. The pressure comes from what this club demands. This pressure comes from history. Pressure comes from what this club means. Pressure comes from the fans. The pressure of playing for this club, people don't understand. As Ryan says there, it is a privilege to feel the pressure playing for this club. What did they think it was going to be? A fucking payday. That's the reason why they can't handle it, is because they know it was 150k a week, 200k a week, and they think they're going to come here and we're going to be lauding them like they're something special. This is not Tottenham. This is not fucking Brighton. This is not Chelsea. This is not Man City. This is not a Norwich. This is United. The pressure is there, and if you can't handle the pressure, piss off. But you won't, because you're on 150k a week, and you won't hold your hands up and say, this is too big for me. You would rather put in pitiful performances over 3 or 4 years, wait until the contract's up, and then escape, because it's weak mentality, weak-minded, low IQ level players. Simon says, I can't wait to see our lineup for Tuesday's match. Time to repeat the performances. Dancing with Wolves. Another 3 points is coming. I hope so. These players are playing for a team with a rich history of winning trophies over the years. What do you think is worse, pressure-wise, to manage United or play for us? I think to manage, I do. And the reason why I say it is because until you win a league, you're going to have Fergie, the legend of Fergie, over your head. The pressure is you're always going to be compared. Like Fergie was always compared to Sir Matt Busby. You're always going to get compared. And I think in terms of a player-wise, look, playing for this club is nearly equally as stressful. But the difference is you can turn off. The difference is that once you play the game, let's just say you play the game and you have one of your best games ever, right? So imagine you just played a game, and you scored a goal, you won the game. You can literally turn off. A manager for this club cannot turn off at all. I think the pressure of this club for a manager or coach is vastly bigger than any player. Because the current players have got off scot-free. 6 managers have been sacked since Fergie's. I agree with you. Look, these players. Look, there are players that I would keep, but the majority. Look, I would purchase this club. I say this over and over again. I would purchase this club. I wouldn't keep a single player. I would rip it up and start again, because unless the Glazers go, unless Inos go, we are going to be stuck in the cycle of toxicity. I'm hoping by pure luck, pure luck, that we can do something different. It remains to be seen. So look, I'm going to go. One thing I am going to say is, look, I've got to be true. and I've got to be honest, look, if Xerxy goes, and I do think Xerxy will go, there's too much out there now, and I do think that he goes. If he goes, I think there is light. I think there could be a little bit of light, and we may go and sign a player. I don't know who that is. It's not going to be a Belabor, an Anderson, a Stiller. If it is, I will take my hat off. Right now, I'm going to be adamant and say I still believe it's going to be Gallagher or fuck all. Oakley says, hi, hello, glory, man. United says, Bongan. United says, I hope this new stadium doesn't happen and they fuck off and sell the club. Mate, I've had many people on here talking about the stadium. I've seen people, I've seen other channels doing whole shows about it. I refuse to do a show on it because it is a fucking travesty that what the Glazers have done to this club, to our home, have come in and destroyed this home. I couldn't give a shit about a stadium. The fact that and United fans, look, I've got a lot of respect for our fans, right? If you want the stadium, that's fine. I get it. I don't understand why people support a stadium that's having to be built because these rotten, dirty, disgusting owners have never put a penny into this club and have let our home rot to rack and fucking ruin to the point whereby it's going to be knocked down. Our ground needs to be knocked down. I don't think people realise what that means. They're going to get a shiny new toy, this shiny new fucking stadium. The heart and soul is not going to be there. They're knocking down our home. The Glazers have come into... Look, it wouldn't even be so bad if, let's just say, the Glazers had come in to the club, looked after the ground and said, look, guys, we need to progress as a club. So what we're going to do is we're going to, as a thank you, even though they've looked after the stadium and said, look, as a thank you, we're going to build a brand new stadium. But what we're going to do is we're going to try and keep it in theme with the old ground. And it's going to be a thank you, but we have to do it because we need to be bigger, right? I could accept that. And then if they then said, look, what we're then going to do is we're going to keep the ground. We might turn it into flats, but we're going to keep the aesthetic of it. We're going to keep the club. It might be a training facility for youth. It might be a museum. But we're going to keep the ground. We're going to do something with that ground as a mark of respect. They're going to knock it down. I don't think it registers with people. All they think they're going to get is this shiny new toy, but it has to be knocked down. There's nothing that they can do. United fan, they can't do it. They can't do it, mate. It is beyond repair. It would literally cost them. It would literally cost them £3 billion, and even then, I don't think that they can save it. So the Glazers have let this stadium rot and rust to a point where it has to be knocked down. It is fucking disgusting. I will never forgive Inos and Glazers. Even if we win a league under them, I want them out. I will never forgive people who let my home rot and rust through sheer greed. So absolutely just disgusting and despicable. Sir Jim has the gall to call himself a fan. I want to tear our home down. Exactly. Agreed. Completely. Get our player situation sorted before we go and buy a ton of bricks to build a new stadium. Just renovate Old Trafford. It would cost less. Glazers out, I do agree. Tynes says United should hire Wenger if they want to save money. Simon says history and legends were made at Old Trafford, and it's hard to replicate that in a new stadium. Hesty says I think two things can be true. Both what you and Erikson said is true. It all comes down to the owners. They create an unstable, toxic environment that shape the mentality of those players. The owners are pure evil to the core, very poor humans. We barely have enough in the kitty to repair leaky roof. So we have to be soulless now. Ever since Arsenal left Highbury, the Emirates is terrible. Glazers tried to ruin football with the Super League. Never forget that. Exactly. I absolutely cannot stand them. I absolutely, any chance I get, I will bad fucking mouth them, because I absolutely think they are dirty scum who've ruined this club. And they're absolute I just despise them. So guys, brilliant show. I love these shows. Evening shows are fantastic. Again, 2 hours, absolutely brilliant. These shows are amazing. These are some of my favorite shows where we basically come on. And United fan, I've always said this: the Glazers should be put into prison. What they've done, the criminality that they've done to an institution in this country is criminal, and they should be put into prison for what they've done. Like, favourite, and subscribe. Thank you, Tay. Since Spurs went to the new ground, no silverware has been won on it yet. They did win the Europa League, so they did. But look, guys, I'm going to go. Look, thank you. This show is amazing. Great stream. Loved it. Look, I love this stream as much as you guys. I love to be part of this. Look, I am part of this community, even though I come onto the channel and I speak and my name is above the door. Look, I'm part of this community, the same as anybody else. So as far as I'm concerned, I might be up here doing the talking, but you guys, without you guys, there is no show. So look, guys, I can only thank you. You are legends of this chat. I will be back tomorrow. I will try now to get back to 2 shows a day. I do it around work. Are you doing a watch along for the Wolves game? Yes, I will. I will be doing that. So yes, I will do a watch along for the Wolves game. I'll be back tomorrow, so I'll do probably an afternoon show. I'll do an evening shows, but look, the evening shows are basically we will just go. We talk about different stuff. So look, if you come again, just bring in whatever you want to bring in. I'll lead with a topic, but then we'll just go and just do this evening show is your show. So look, mate, thank you. Look, you guys make this stream fantastic. Without you guys, this channel does not exist. Without you guys, this show is just nothing at all. So look, I can only thank you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the chat. The chat is brilliant. So look, guys, I will be back tomorrow. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Legends of the channel. I am JB. This is the United Devil channel, and I will be back tomorrow. So take care all, and I'll see you on the next one.